The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 6th day of March, 2024. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medicals, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamal Hartman. Teo Dill will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in his news break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. It's the middle of the week. Some of you refer to it as Hump Day. We're halfway through the traditional work week. And may I ask, how's everyone feeling this week? Everyone ready for Friday or just enjoying this week? How you all feeling? How you doing? How's things going for you this week so far? We over here in I was going to say La La Land, but us over here on the love our job vibe, we actually appreciate today and every day, I should say, that we're allowed to do what we love to do. You feel me? Awesome Wednesday to you and Teo, says Suzanne Ingham, and awesome Wednesday to you as well. And to everyone who's tuned in, make sure you do us a favor real quickly. Make sure you give us a like, a love, follow, repost it, retweet it, reshare it. We're going to get down today. We're going to have a very interesting conversation that I believe the entire community, at least Twitter, because you all, the Facebook ons and everyone kind of got knocked back yesterday when Facebook and Instagram went down. But on Twitter, she got pretty hot and heavy yesterday, and we'll get into that. But greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we discuss. We're going to discuss whether or not Bermuda should offer free movement as a full member of CARICOM. So that's what we're going to discuss this morning, whether or not you believe Bermuda should offer free movement as a full member of CARICOM. As you know, the Premier has stated that that is not something that is on offer for Bermuda. But it became a hot topic yesterday on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, I will try to share some of the Daily Hour friendly things that were said as it relates to Bermuda. It just reminded me of Donald Trump when Donald Trump was going at it with Kim Jong-un, whatever his name, the leader of North Korea. And people were like, yo, bro, that ain't us. 1600 whatever avenue, like people were trying to say this is him, this ain't us. That's what it felt like with people leaving David Burke, Premier of Bermuda, hanging yesterday. But the Daily Play is going to be some music today. As you can see, I don't have a co-host, so someone will be a lucky winner. Join Hadeline Swan. And who was yesterday's winner? Was it Traveling Trotty? Who was yesterday's winner? I can't remember. But anyway, you'll join those two in becoming eligible for this week's prize, which is given away on Friday. Don't forget, if you haven't already, please subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, so let's just get right into today's conversation. So those who may not know, yesterday there was a tweet by Caribbean News Network. So that's Caribbean News UK. All right. And the tweet read, Bermuda is pushing for full membership within CARICOM. However, while it seeks to integrate more closely with the regional bloc, it is clear that it does not intend to participate in the region's initiative for the free movement of nationals across member states. Premier David Burke, representing Bermuda at the 46th Regular Summit of Regional Leaders in Guyana, emphasized that full membership does not automatically entail freedom of movement for citizens of other member states to Bermuda due to commence on March 31st, 2024. So just to give you an example, because I was speaking to some of our industry friends last night about this, and they were asking me, and I tell people all the time, I'm no expert. I just read what you all can read. And I guess I have more time to do it. But just to give you an understanding of what the free movement means, the free movement of skills/labor entails the right of CARICOM national to seek work and or engage in gainful employment in all CARICOM member states, with the exception of the Bahamas, Montserrat, and Haiti. And this is without the need to obtain a work permit. So that's what it means. The question of the morning is pretty much going to be, what are your thoughts on Bermuda not being interested in free movement for CARICOM nationals? But before that, question is, would you support free movement of CARICOM nationals into Bermuda? Just a simple yes or no. And before we get into that, just want to wish our nephew again today. We're going to wish our nephew Maddox a very happy birthday. He celebrated, man, his 21 already, folks. Maddox turned 21 already. Just yesterday, he was 7 years old. So please wish out, okay, his 8th. Wish Maddox a happy 8th birthday. And Maddox, make sure you have a good day in school. Make sure that you learn as much as you can so that you are the brightest and smartest 8-year-old ever. But happy birthday to Maddox on behalf of everyone. Uncle Teo is saying happy birthday, Maddox, as well. And next year, we're coming to the party. Teo and I are coming to the party. So, you know, Maddox has a big party. But I hope you have a great day, Maddox. And we played a little song for you yesterday as well. Let's play a little song. All right, Maddox. That I can't rap or dance, but I could push a button to play a little song for you. So would you support free movement of CARICOM nationals into Bermuda? What are your thoughts? Again, to give you an understanding of what free movement is, free movement of skills labor entails the right of CARICOM national to seek work and or engage in gainful employment in all CARICOM member states, with the exception of the Bahamas, Montserrat, and Haiti. This basically means the ability to work without the need to obtain a work permit. Would you support that? Yes or no? Suzanne Ingham says no. Ray Kai says yes. What are your thoughts, audience? Yes or no? Would you support free movement of CARICOM nationals in Bermuda? The ability for CARICOM nationals to work in Bermuda without having to obtain a work permit. What do you think about this? Where do you stand on this? Do you have an opinion on this? Do you understand this? What are your thoughts on whether or not we should? Now, let's be honest, before people get defensive about, you know, their Bermuda and it's their country, let's just keep in mind, Bermuda is reeling. Bermuda needs people. I don't think there's not even I mean, every last politician or business person will tell you that Bermuda needs people. So it comes down to, you know, I'm just going to say it. Some people won't. Are people in CARICOM the ones who can fill the jobs that need to be filled? What are we looking for? Because I remember one of the arguments, let's have an honest conversation here, is that, oh, one government wants people to come in for votes who look a certain way. The other government wants people to come in who look another way. You get where I'm going with this? Politics, man. It's so sickening. Sancho Dorm says, no. Again, what are your thoughts? Would you support free movement of CARICOM nationals into Bermuda? Taylor Dill says also, this would mean the inverse applies, free movement of Bermudians throughout the CARICOM bloc. And I'm going to be honest, as a person who owns a business, right? You know, the examples have been given before. The Honorable Mark Bean has given them. I've heard MP Chris Famous give this example in the House of Assembly. For years, many of the established companies in Bermuda, like they're known as the CG Group now, Colonial Insurance, I believe Butterfield Bank, some very established companies in Bermuda, owned by some of the wealthiest Bermudians, have been doing business throughout the Caribbean, right? So for me as a business person, I would love the opportunity to go throughout the region. And I think it would also, as Teo just mentioned, provide Bermudians the opportunity to actually gain, you know, employment throughout the region. Let's be honest, as far as hotels, we don't have many. There are some people in Bermuda with only hotel experience. We've got some Bermudians in the hotel sector overseas doing very well. I believe the former chairman of the BTA, Paul Telford, is in Turks and Caicos Island. So thank you for that, Teo. It doesn't mean just labor coming in, but it gives us the opportunity. And when Teo comes in for the news break, my hope is that he will kind of explain the similarities between the free movement for CARICOM nationals and the whole Brexit thing, how it was in the EU, because there are similarities in that. And I hope that we can understand what they are and how this could benefit Bermuda or not. But again, yes or no, real quickly before we get into the bulk of the question, would you support free movement of CARICOM nationals into Bermuda? What that means, folks, free movement of CARICOM nationals just means free movement of skills, laborers. It entails the right of a CARICOM national to seek work and or engage in gainful employment in all CARICOM member states without the need to obtain a work permit, with the exception of the Bahamas, Montserrat, and Haiti. All right, would you support it, yes or no? Just a yes or no at this time. Silas Lynch says no for WP, there's background checks. What's WP? White people? What's what WP mean? Oh, work permits. I'm sorry. You can't look. I keep telling you all, I'm not the smartest apple on the tree. You cannot put like these acronyms and expect me not to go off the deep end. All right, work permits. Gee, my goodness, man. Thank you. Now you already got me in trouble. Gee, my goodness. Got me out here offending people first thing in the morning. It's not even 9 o'clock yet. Anyway, let's go back to the comments. Gee, my apologies. I mean, I'm not really sorry. I just said what came to mind. Hope if you're offended, you know, it won't happen again. Anika, well, it probably will. But Anika De Shield says it would make sense as we have a decline in workforce. Wouldn't it give Bermudians the opportunity to work in other CARICOM countries? Yes, as Teo said. And that's the thing, Anika. Thank you for having an open mind with it. My hope, Anika, though, my hope, Teo and Anika and audience, my hope is that we've matured as a collective, as a population, as a people, to understand that Bermuda is not king of the castle. We're not better than our friends and cousins to the south. We're not that, you know, we're just, there are opportunities in these spaces where we can grow as well. I guarantee you, if you ask most businesses in Bermuda if they'd like to expand within the region, they'd probably say yes for reasons, you know, that offer their company's growth. So my hope is that we've matured to a place to understand that there are opportunities within the region. All right. Suzanne Ingham says, our own people can't get jobs in their own country. Yes, we need people, but ours need jobs first. But again, Suzanne, it gives us the opportunity to go outside of Bermuda to get jobs, right? One of the things that, you know, I just being honest and putting myself out there, my entire career, about 3 years, has been spent outside of Bermuda. The opportunities that I've been afforded outside of Bermuda, I just could not, I would never have had. I've been able to work in professional sports. I've been able to work at the largest media company in the world, the Walt Disney Company. I've been privileged to do that. Had I not had the opportunity to work outside of Bermuda, I would not have been able, there would have been limits. There would have been a ceiling. I think by expanding these opportunities, Bermudians are going to have more opportunities to grow, right? And guess what? Maybe return to Bermuda with a better experience, with a more global understanding. Let's be honest. Throughout every country in CARICOM, the cultures are very different. They're very different. It's, you know, it reminds me of Africa, where for years people would speak about the continent of Africa like it was just one culture, one group of people, right? And there's different tribes within one country that help understand that one person doesn't define one country or city or village, let alone an entire continent. That's the same with the Caribbean and the many cultures and countries within it. I think we need to expand our minds when thinking of this. Anyway, audience, what are your thoughts on Bermuda not being interested in free movement for CARICOM nationals? Samcat Play says, no, she's not interested. Where are you housing them? Investment is needed with our own people. Do better, try harder for us. Fair enough, housing. Ray Kai says freedom of movement could also open up. Oh, sorry. Freedom of movement could also open us up to manufacturing opportunities in Jamaica as well. Jamaica will be the China of the Caribbean. We talking about like China like manufacturing or Western manufacturing, like China manufacturing where people, it's very cheap labor, or are we talking about Western manufacturing is Chinese manufacturing. My apologies, but you get my point. I think you get my point. Charles H. Jeffers II, he says, honestly, many of our ancestors came from many Caribbean countries. My question is, how would that impact our relationship with the US, Canada, and other countries? I think this is important. This is important. Understanding if there will be an impact. I know Sir John Swan did come out with a statement. He met with Trevor Lindsay, I think, was present. That's where I saw it. And he said that was one of his concerns. The government, in reply, through the Honorable Deputy Premier Walter Raban, said that this would not impact the relationship, and that, basically the government would not move for such, something of this magnitude without discussing it with their partners like that. But I want people to keep in mind, Rashida Godwin, I hope she doesn't mind me calling her name. She sent something to me last month or month before when it came to this. And she said, she highlighted, and the highlight in all of this is we have our opinions, we respond to stuff. But something she highlighted, she says, Jamel, regardless of what the government wants to do, it has to be signed off by Mother England, right? And someone yesterday tweeted that again. Like, Bermuda is not independent. We are not like children who've moved out of our parents' house, We aren't able to make our own decisions. Many of you are happy with that for whatever reason, but we have to go to Mother England. So regardless of how we feel, this all has to go through Mother England, has to be signed off by the government. There's a lot more steps to this. So whether or not we allow freedom of movement, maybe that was something that the UK said, oh, we'll allow you full membership, but you can't, allow freedom of movement. Maybe. I'm not saying that's the case. It could be. You're all laughing at me saying white people. See, look, man, you making me feel real bad. Silas Lynch says, if free movement happens for Caribbean, then shouldn't be open for UK as a British overseas territory citizen. Well, that's why I think the UK would have a lot to say with it. I think they'd have a lot to say. Zelda Severin, this is an interesting one. She said she'd be in favor of it with numerical caps. So like there has to be a cap on it. What are your thoughts on that? That's interesting. A cap on it. Interesting. Renee Simmons says, my query is this the purpose of becoming full members? Historically, that's where most of us came from for better living purposes. Now the Caribbean are far better than Bermuda, so no influx. Well, I mean, I don't want to read none of the quotes because this is like, you saw my nephew Maddox tuned into the show. There are children watching this show, so I can't really like share some of the quotes as they were responding to our Honorable Premier, David Burt, right? But they were being pretty, they said some things about your boy. I mean, they said about him, not Bermudians. They were talking to him. So let me be clear. So I'm going to try to find some of the PG ones, right? Because you all like, we got sponsors on this show, trying to stay employed. I'm not trying to get kicked off the Daily Hour, but let's go to some comments. So I'm trying to find a couple PG ones, folks. Audience, if you have any PG ones you'd like to share, but they were cooking the Premier. This is a PG one. Someone said, so if we can't move freely, why are they pushing for membership? You want the money, but not the people. We have I'm not going to do this, folks. It's too many to find the good ones. I'm sorry. We're not doing. Rick Olson says, I would love the opportunity to work or live on another island, especially since our tourist season is so short and the opposite of Bermuda. So I'm going to use that. So I'm going to use Jamaicans, right? This is no offense to Jamaicans. I think they are probably some of the proudest people on this planet. But I don't think I've ever visited somewhere and not met a Jamaican who is proud of being Jamaican. Martha's Vineyard, the popular bar up there where, we usually go. I even had lunch with Dr. Brown there. The guy who runs the bar is Jamaican. You go to they have this plan, I guess, with the U.S. where during the off season in Jamaica, many Jamaicans in the industry would come to the U.S., work at different hotels throughout the country, like stuff like that. I think a program like that is what Rick Olson's probably speaking to. Could work. I think it could work. I think there are opportunities where this can benefit Bermuda, but it has to be it has to be thought through. It has to be something where Bermudians actually see, not just see, but feel the benefit, right? They have to feel the benefit of it. What are your thoughts, the audience? What are your thoughts? I mean, are we that protective of Bermuda and being Bermudian? Like we're saying, well, I can't find a job, I'm struggling, what's more people going to do? Well, let me explain that, because we've spoken about it a number of times on this show. We've spoken about this a number of times. What would having more people in Bermuda do? Well, I don't know what it would do, but I know what it should do. It should drive the cost down. The government would have no excuse with more people as it relates to payroll tax. More people paying into the pot. More people paying into the pot means that you shouldn't have to pay as much. No, I know what you all doing, throwing stuff at the computer. Oh, please, Jamal, more government for the money just means they're just going to spend more recklessly. Again, I didn't say what they would do. I'm saying what they should do. Again, there you go, Ray Kai. It should bring lower prices, more people. More people. At the end of the day, I'm no expert at this, but we've all read the information, or at least the information's accessible for us to read, right? We've seen it. We need more people in Bermuda. We need more labor in Bermuda. That's the way we can drive costs down for individuals. When we come back after the news break, we're going to continue the conversation. This is very interesting. I did hear something real quickly on the U.S. front. So, I know Bermudians, we have a lot of opinions about politics outside our country, particularly the United States, with the two elderly guys fighting for leadership of the so-called free world. Well, this morning I woke up and I saw that Nikki Haley is dropping out of the Republican primary. So it's definitely going to be out of 330 million, these two elderly guys fighting for the leadership of the free world. Folks, I want to tell you something. This is what happens when people become apathetic about the political process. Out of 330 million, these are the two that are going to be out front. These are the two individuals. These are the people. This is what happens when we don't show any interest in the political process. And I know you all's like, well, David Burt's so bad. I don't disagree. It could be worse, but also it could be so much better. And I'm saying that because we cannot allow U.S. politics to be our barometer. Let's bring Taylor Dillon for the Daily Hour News Break. We'll continue the conversation on the CARICOM conversation after this break. So don't go anywhere. Stick with us. And don't forget, we've got that giveaway today, eligible for this week's giveaway coming up.
Hey, morning, Jay. Morning, audience. Very glad to spend some time with you today. And you get me to rearrange my newscast, Jamel.
Yeah.
I had the story about the CARICOM conversation a little further down, but just for continuity of information. As you mentioned, and I'm grateful for sort of teeing this up. Now, Premier Burt's intervention about CARICOM, full membership, and Bermuda not being interested in participating in the full free movement scheme, it reminded me, as you mentioned, of the 2016 Brexit debate when the UK voted to leave the European Union. Now, one of the core issues that led to Brexit, as you'll recall, was British dissatisfaction with the freedom that all EU member citizens could work and live in any member state. Now, that wasn't actually true, but that was the main reason why they left the EU. Now, now that we set the context, Premier Burt was just at the 46th annual CARICOM Heads of Government meeting in Guyana, right? Now, since which he's underlined that despite seeking full membership in CARICOM, Bermuda's too small to have regional open borders, aka freedom of movement is no bueno for us. Now, Premier Burt said specifically that, quote, it's been stated on numerous occasions that many full members of CARICOM don't participate in freedom of movement. Now, here's the thing. They, at the last heads of government meeting, the CARICOM executive voted to bump up the scope of freedom of movement, because at the moment, the current status quo for freedom of movement is, I found it detailed here. So free movement of skills, it's actually not free movement, it's free movement of skills. So it's not a right to permanent residency or citizenship. There are currently no rights regarding free movement just for the purposes of residency or permanent naturalization or citizenship. If somebody wants to migrate from one CARICOM member state to live in another, they got to apply for residency or citizenship in accordance with the pre-existing laws of the host country. So if it's only for work. So at the moment, what it would look like is if a Bermudian business posts a job application, somebody from CARICOM could apply for that job and not have to apply for work permit. They could just, but in a particular subset of categories. So what they're trying to do by the end of this month, CARICOM, is expand that out a little further. And there is what the reason it's taken so long is because all of the different countries are negotiating this to leave carve outs so that everybody is happy with the final consensus, which is almost certainly going to mean individual countries having the right to say, I'll go this far, but they have, like Ms. Severin mentioned, number caps and the employment areas or whatever. So anyway, it's just really interesting to me in that the thing that led the British to leave the EU and basically kick themselves in the kneecaps economically for a generation was that they were just scared of freedom of movement when they always had the restriction to prevent it, but the government didn't want to do it individually because they like getting cheap labor.
And I think the worst part about that, Teo, is that the public who voted for Brexit bought it hook, line, and sinker because they didn't understand it. And that's why, I think it's important for us to have these conversations on these platforms so that people understand it and what the exceptions are and how it actually works. I gave the example earlier, Teo, of how some of Bermuda's most successful businesses, right, have actually grown in the Caribbean region for years before some Bermudians even knew the names of some of the countries that exist in the Caribbean, right? They benefited. And look, you all know I'm no friend of the PLP. But at the end of the day, I give credit to MP Chris Famous and the Premier and the government as a whole for always mentioning that, right? Saying, we have such a problem with, those to the south of us, but yet there are people who've spent millions, if not billions in that region for years. So what's the problem with joining and expanding opportunities for Bermudians? Now, you also mentioned, Tay, the inverse, right? Us being able to go and expand and work in that region, right? Again, I've been privileged to work outside Bermuda. I feel it's a privilege. I've been able to work in professional sports. I've been able to work for the largest media company in the world. This is something I would not have had the opportunity to do had I been never left Bermuda, right? But let's use this field, for instance. There's people who are great in media, but there's so few opportunities. So what do they end up doing? They go and work for government. Well, this is the opportunity to work for Sportsmax. This makes it the opportunity to work for, you know what I'm saying? So I think the opportunities for growth, I think we need to think bigger than what the cons of it and just start thinking about the pros. No, let me be very clear. I haven't given my opinion on whether I support it or not. I'm not saying I do. What I'm saying is I think we need to think deeper, think beyond the surface as it relates to this. I think we're automatically thinking people are coming to take our jobs.
Right. Which is a legitimate, reasonable, immediate response, right? Like in a period of economic insecurity, feeling that way makes perfect sense. However, that's not where we should stop, right? Like react that way immediately, but then let's keep thinking it through. right? Like the weigh out the full list of pros and cons before reaching a hard conclusion, not just off the first reflexive, justifiably reflexive reaction. I think.
Yeah. This is an interesting one, Tate. But real quickly before you move on your news, why do you think? And I know you who you are, so don't hold up on this. Why do you think people are not as receptive to it?
Well, it's kind of what I just said. Like at this particular moment in Bermudian history, things are tight, right? Like the unemployment rate is not where we would like it to be. The cost of living continues to increase. People are squeezed. So when they think about adding more competition for jobs into this little bitty place, automatically it feels like that's a bad idea right now, at least right now. On that basis. And then, you know, with the ongoing difficulty of getting affordable housing, like finding a place to rent for you and your family, you mean I got to compete with another, 40 people from throughout the Caribbean every quarter now? Like, are you serious? That sounds crazy. So I get it. Like it is not a fundamentally irrational immediate response. However, as Jay has mentioned in eloquent detail, there's a whole bunch of benefits for our people that come along with this reciprocal agreement too. So I guess what I'm hoping folks can do is to just get past that justifiable, reflexive, immediate response.
Gotcha.
Now, in other news, the government has issued a $25 million government guarantee to protect the successful completion of the Bermuda Beach resort. Now, Premier Byrd shared as much in the lower house, sharing that the guarantee has been issued on behalf of the Bermuda Development Company Limited, which is a subsidiary of the Bermuda Housing Corporation. Now, as you recall, the former Grand Atlantic was built more than 10 years ago, first intended to be a state housing development. The problem was nobody actually bought the housing units, so the plans were shifted to convert the property into a hotel space. How do you feel? I wanted to ask you about that. Have you been paying attention to the decade-long saga of the Bermuda Beach Resort, Jay?
I have a lot to say, but actually I was thinking about talking about that tomorrow or today. But what I will say is I have something to say about it. And if you don't know already, you want to tune into this conversation tonight with myself live with the Information Commissioner of Bermuda, Gitanjali Gutierrez. We'll be discussing the budget and what it means for you, the public, right now. So now what? The budget's been delivered. Now what? We'll be discussing that, and I'll share my opinion tonight on that entire saga. How's that?
Okay, that sounds pleasantly ominous. Like good commercial, man. That's good.
Yeah.
Now, in much less happy news, the BPS. Well, let me put it this way. If you were headed west yesterday evening and ran into a bunch of traffic close to Rockaway, it happened for exactly the reason that you were hoping it wasn't. The BPS confirmed on Instagram last night around 9:00 that a serious road traffic collision involving a car and a truck took place near the junction of Evans Bay Road and Middle Road in Southampton. Early reports indicate that the driver of the car was injured, and it sounds like this is tragically close to the spot where 38-year-old Jerry Colantes and 46-year-old visitor Angela Meyer died in a road collision last summer. Hopefully, this incident is much less serious. When we get more information about it, we will let you know. And then finally, the UK's House of Lords has just made it harder. Jay, you're going to love this one. For Prime Minister Rishi Sunak to send prospective refugees to Rwanda. Now, the peers voted through a handful of amendments that would make it harder for the British Parliament to execute this law. Here's why this matters. The first run at this plan was shot down by the Supreme Court in the UK since it violated domestic and international law. And this is the interesting part, because Rwanda was clearly a less safe country than the UK. So if a refugee shows up on your shores because they're trying to evacuate their unsafe country, it just simply does not make sense to send them to another place that's not that safe. Mm-hmm. Now, Sunak's response to the Supreme Court saying that Rwanda is not a safe country, so you can't do this, he passed a law in the Commons saying that Rwanda was in fact safe. Now, nothing changed in Rwanda. They didn't reveal any new evidence. They just said, oh, you say that Rwanda's not safe is the problem? Okay, well, now it is. The law says that it is. Now, the Lord shot all that down with their amendments, which should effectively kill the core point of the law, which aims to prevent further legal challenges against it after being ruled unlawful again by the Supreme Court. But that is wild to me, right? Like, can you imagine? Let me contextualize it, Jay. This is like if, say, like the emissions from Belco, right? That are causing real difficulty in the neighborhood that lives in the area, saying that it's unhealthy, unsafe, like blah, blah, blah. This would be like the government passing a law saying the emissions are healthy. And therefore you cannot take action against Belco because there's a law that says the emissions are healthy with nothing changing.
I put nothing past the government, but I don't think they'll do that. But I want to say this. It just made me think of Piers Morgan, thinking that the UK isn't racist or as racist as the US, because people, this whole civil rights thing and so on. And I think people tie historical racism into one thing and don't understand how it's still being used in the most discreet manners and ways, right? Mm-hmm. And if nothing else, I think we should be grateful for stories like that being brought to our attention to understand exactly how systems work. Mm-hmm. I really, truly hope so. Teo, you just made me do something. Don't go anywhere. I want to play this for the audience, and then we'll come back. And I just want to get Teo's opinion before he heads out for the day. So I'm just going to play something. Give me 3 minutes.
Sure. Yeah,
the budget has been delivered, and it's about to be debated. We're having a conversation about what the public needs to know. Why is this so important?
So the budget's been delivered to Parliament, and elected officials are going to decide how much of the public money is going to be spent and what it's going to be spent on. And now it's an opportunity for the public to be informed and to use the PADI Act to follow up. It's their invitation to take this information, to make PADI requests, to find out if the services being promised to be delivered will be delivered. And it's really the time for the public to step up and get involved after the debate, and once it's time to see how the money will be spent.
During this conversation, what can the public expect to learn?
This is going to be an important conversation because what people are going to hear during the budget debate is a promise of we're going to spend this amount of money on these particular services or to create this kind of benefit for the public. And this year, more than ever, the government has put forward more details, almost SMART goals. We're going to do this, achieve this, and this will be the results. This is how you can measure success. And for the public, you can use the PADI Act to hold the government accountable for the promises that are given during the budget debate. So after all the debate is done, it's important for people to join our discussion to understand their role in holding the government accountable for delivering on the promises that they're making during the budget debate.
So just let people know when and where can they engage in this conversation.
We're going to be doing a live discussion that people can join us on YouTube, on the ICO YouTube channel on Wednesday, March 6th at 6 p.m. And it's a discussion. This is really an opportunity for people to look at the budget, to listen to the numbers and ask themselves, what do I want to know? What information do I want to ask? And to empower themselves with the rights they have under the PADI Act to be part of the discussion. So I'm looking forward to talking with you. And I'm also looking forward to getting the questions and comments from the Bermuda public. I would invite the public to bring their hot button issues. So we have more information about the budget this year, maybe than in any other year. We know that there is $6 million that's going to be spent on public education reform. We know that there'll be $5 million spent on improving roads, health, and ferries infrastructure. So people can look at the information out there now and decide what's important to them. And that's what we want you to bring to the discussion on March 6th, live on YouTube, where we're going to be talking about the budget and how to use the PADI rights to find out the information about what's coming up that's important to you. We'll see you on March 6th at 6 p.m.
Hey, real quickly.
That was an even better commercial. Well done.
Real quickly, though, I think you do such a great job of getting people to understand why things are in their interest. Just explain why people understand and how to read the budget, what it means to them, and how to go about asking questions is important. Because we seem to be empathetic.
You are speaking to the center of my beating core of civic values, right? Like, the better we understand what the state does, the more effectively we can advocate for our interests and push the state into directions that we want. Now, I think that the mechanics of the small g government, and this is not aimed at any particular like political party that has the majority control in the House of Assembly at any given period. This is just how the government works. I think it was initially designed, like the way the language functions, the way the document chains function, the way that the business is done. I think it was initially designed, like hundreds of years ago, to be as inaccessible as possible to the average person, specifically so they could kind of do what they want and then tell you their version of the summary. So they're not really being influenced as much by the public as they I think must be. So the fact that it is this much easier nowadays to get access to this information, that the obligation that the state is obligated to provide it to us when we ask for it is, I think, essential to help our democracy mature, because this place is too small for us to be this basically ignorant about the mechanics of the government, of how our government runs. So I'm so glad you're having this conversation, man. And Ms. Gutierrez is on point. Trust me. Like, y'all need to watch this with Jay and Ms. Gutierrez. Like, she knows what she's talking about.
I'll tell you this here, and everything to what Teo just said, and thank you for actually explaining that in the way you did, because what I don't want, and this is why this show exists, I don't want anyone having excuses as to why they didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing for information to be accessible. It's another thing for you to have the opportunity to be a part of the accessible conversation. And she's expecting you to ask every and anything. I'll give you an example. If there's $10 million going towards affordable housing, right? Find out, well, how much of that 10 million is going towards the contractor? How much is going towards, I guess you got to gazette stuff, right? You have to gazette stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Get it broken down. How much is going towards salaries, equipment? This is the stuff you need to know. So I hope people tune in live at 6 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time this evening on the ICO YouTube channel and on the website. That's ico.bm. I really do hope you take advantage of conversations like this.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a big deal. Like, it's honestly an illustration of what we're talking about. That is to say, access to people in places of power that are telling you how to be just about as powerful as them as far as access is concerned. Like, missing this, if you're interested at all in the growth of our country, doesn't make a lot of sense. So, please check it out. It's an important conversation.
Real quickly, days of the year, it's quite a few, right? It's Dress Day. Yeah, National Dress Day in the U.S. Oreo Cookie Day. Your brother-in-law is like an Oreo cookie freak.
No, trust me. I think it's a clinical condition for him. Like,
I have never met someone who is crazy about Oreo cookies. Like, for his birthday, the only thing he wants from me is Oreo cookies. We've got white chocolate cheesecake days too. You like that? No,
white chocolate is not chocolate.
Okay, fair enough.
It isn't. I'll fight you on this.
Frozen food day. You like that one?
I'm sorry.
Frozen food day.
No. That's just like a blood pressure but frozen food is just bad for you broadly. So no.
Well, we've got National Dentist Day. Actually,
there you go. That's a good one.
Well, I have to leave here soon. I actually have my 6-month dentist whitening, cleaning, or whatever they call it, this morning, 9 a.m. So what a day to go. Gee, who knew? Maybe I should take what kind of gift do you take your dentist?
If you want to be funny, like chewing tobacco and a pack of cigarettes.
I have some
just to see if they'll laugh.
I have some cigars in the cigar box. I could take, yeah, maybe I'll go in like chewing candy or something like that.
Yeah, like chewing bubble gum. And
I don't have time to stop to the store to get this stuff. And why are you trying to make me do bad stuff anyway? Like, come on, bro. All right, that's it for us today. So folks, don't go anywhere. Someone's going to be eligible for a prize today if you get the answer right. I want to continue to. You got to go, Tay, or you want to?
No, actually, I do got a dip.
Tayo's got a dip. So Tay, we'll see you soon.
All right, thank y'all. Have a good day.
All right, Tayo deal, folks. We're going to take a quick break. Come back after this break, and we will just read some of the other comments that came through. Stick with us.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's. I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level.
All right, welcome back to the big show. Thank you all for tuning in to this most important conversation, as they all are. I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour, brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical Windows, and People's Pharmacy. Do not forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Folks, if you do ship into Bermuda, you want to make sure, I'll share the link in the comments. We are giving you, seriously, 2 free years of mailbox membership. 2 free years. So you can use this link that is shared in the comments. You can just click that link, sign up. If you ship into Bermuda often, we're trying to help you save money. So check that out. Let's go back to the comments, though. And the question of the morning was, what are your thoughts on Bermuda not being interested in free movement for CARICOM nationals? What are your thoughts? And first of all, I want to give a big shout out to Twitter. You all are shattering records this morning. The amount of people tuned in on Twitter. You can do this every day, but please know, like Ray Kai, you can also engage live on Twitter as well. So props to you all. If you're tuned in on Twitter, just make sure you're reposting it. Make sure you're liking us, and make sure you subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. We hope this is not the last time that you tune in live with us, and feel free to share your opinion. Honestly, that stuff I said earlier about what, WP, I didn't mean that for you all who are what WP. All right. So let's get back to it. Charles H. Jefferson II says, so let's talk about independence, not under this current administration, but a future administration. Are we ready to talk about and prepare for it? That should be our priority, in my opinion. Well, I read somewhere that some said, well, because Bermuda probably isn't going to work its way towards independence, maybe this CARICOM move is the closest we'll get, which is why the government's moving toward. I don't know. I have no idea. Michael Daniel says, isn't there some downside to Bermudians' freedom of movement? Michael, I think with anything in life, there's the upside, there's downside. I think there are pros and cons, as I mentioned earlier. There are pros and cons, and I think that we need to weigh them. We need to see, at the end of the day, everything that the government does should be in the best interest of the people they govern for. And so those are things that need to be considered and discussed. Mark Arthur C. Phillips, he says, with Bermuda being an import economy, I don't see the cost of living decreasing. Shipping to such a remote place like Bermuda is not cheap. I could be wrong. I think what people mean when they speak about stuff like that, and I'll just go to Anika DeShield's comment. She says, hopefully joining CARICOM would allow for the importation of fresh produce from the Caribbean instead of the USA, hopefully less expensive and less pesticides. Maybe there will be routes, within the region that come to Bermuda. I know Bermuda is challenged. Let's be honest, it's challenged because it's out in the Atlantic on its own. So it does cause some issue, Mark. It really does. But I think where people are talking about decreasing the cost of living is, again, prices will go up if the population decreases, right? You know, the government needs to make money in its coffers. So the easiest way to do that is payroll tax. If you have more people, there's no reason to keep raising it. Whether or not it goes down, you're right. Most things don't decrease. Interesting question by Burmy Vibes Running and Workout Music says, will natural disasters afford people to relocate to Bermuda and have access to our social programs? That's a valid question. I think that's a very important question. These are some of the things that I think Bermudians need answers to from the people who are pushing to become full members of CARICOM. Again, the government has stated that they are not moving towards the freedom of movement. All right. So again, for those who were just tuned in, we did ask this question earlier, hopefully with more information from Teo and just what he shared. Would you, at this point, after this conversation, would you support free movement of CARICOM nationals into Bermuda? Yes or no? And just to explain what that means, freedom of movement of skills/labor entails the right of a CARICOM national to seek work and or engage in gainful employment in all CARICOM member states without the need to obtain a work permit, with the exception of the Bahamas, Montserrat, and Haiti. Now, I just want to give some clarity, right? So I don't think people know the difference between the full members and associate members. So the full member states are like Barbados, Bahamas, Antigua, Barbuda, Belize, Haiti, Guyana, Grenada, Dominica, Jamaica, Montserrat, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Suriname, Trinidad, and Tobago. Associate members, and I believe they're all British territories, Anguilla, Bermuda, British Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, Turks and Caicos Islands. So that gives you an idea of, who's a full member, who's an associate member, and of the full members, the full member states, Bahamas, Montserrat, and Haiti do not offer free movement into their countries. Now, that said, again, audience, yes or no? Yes or no? Do you support the free movement of CARICOM nationals into Bermuda? Would you support it? Sorry. Would you support free movement of CARICOM nationals into Bermuda? Just a simple yes or no. Yes or no. No one's going to eat you alive for responding yes or no. I will actually share my opinion. And I'm not copping out, but don't take my answer as a cop-out. But I think one of the problems that we often have, and I'm guilty of it, and I'm trying to improve too. I'm trying to become a better person. But I don't think I have enough information. I don't understand how it would truly be in the best interest of Bermuda in the short and long term right now. However, my answer is not no, because I understand the need for Bermuda increasing the population. Yes or no? Diane White says no. And Suzanne Ingham says no. She hasn't changed her position. Is there anyone who says yes? Anyone out there who says yes? Any yeses? Hold that thought. Share your answers. We're going to take a final break. Come back. We're going to do a hashtag giveaway as well as the daily play. The daily play and a hashtag giveaway. So you want to make sure you don't leave so you can be eligible to win this week's prize. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this message.
Hi there. Welcome to Medical House. We're located at number 6 Bakery Lane. I can't wait to show you all of the great stuff that we carry. Come on inside. Let's see. Let's kick it off in the footwear department. When it comes to footwear, we carry functional, comfortable, orthopedic, and waterproof shoes. We have construction shoes, golf shoes, shoes for walking, shoes for boating. We even have shoes for pickleball. We have shoes for everyone. With brands by Skechers, Atrax, Propay, Easy Street, Nursemates, Clogs, Avenger, Cherokee, Cat, Frog Talks, and DeWalt. The list goes on. Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places, and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Pair with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. Long days, long shifts, you no longer have to endure comfortable underwear. Designed by Narcissus, we now offer premium undergarments by Swoop that are unique, fun, comfortable, and functional. The only underwear you'll ever want to wear. Who says high-quality functional products can't be stylish and comfortable at the same time? Speaking of stylish, we also have top-quality running, walking, and workout apparel by Skechers in a variety of sizes for men and women. Cool, breathable, and dry. With our wide selection of Skechers footwear, you'll look great before, during, and after your workout. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
You'll be surprised at everything we have to offer at our huge new retail and wholesale location on Bakery Lane.
All right, welcome back to the big show. Folks, thanks again for joining us this morning, tuning in and rocking with us. If you haven't already, do us a big favor. Give us a like, a love. Make sure you repost or retweet or whatever they say these days. Make sure you share this conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues through WhatsApp groups. Let's talk about it around the water cooler with your colleagues. Trust me, these are the conversations we need to be having in our community. All right. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we can have these conversations with you on a daily basis. It is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, where's the question for today? No, that's not it. Hold on. That's not it either. Here we go. All right. First person to answer this question correctly on my screen will be eligible for this week's prize. And again, we'll do a hashtag giveaway too. So stick with us. All right. What was Victoria Beckham's nickname when she was a part of the girl group, the Spice Girls? Oops, wrong one. Sorry. All right, Charles H. Jeffs II got Posh Spice. Posh, well, he didn't say Spice, but Posh. Victoria Beckham's nickname in the group, the Spice Girls, was Posh. She was Posh Spice. So Charles joins Hadaline, and I think Charlie and Charlie, someone else. I'll have to double check into this week's draw. Folks, we're going to give another giveaway. All you have to do is hashtag the Daily Hour to be eligible for, to join Charles and Hadaline into this week's draw. So hashtag the Daily Hour. Just put a hashtag the Daily Hour to enter into today's draw for this week's, to be eligible for this week's giveaway, which will be given away on Friday. Let's wrap it up though. I mean, let me go through these final comments. Whether or not you agree with freedom of movement as part of CARICOM full membership, Tony Bridgewater says tentatively yes. I need further info as well. Charles H. Jeffs II says, has the government said why they don't want to have freedom of movement? Interested. Evandre Smith says no. And Sean Smith says yes with restrictions. All righty. I think this is a tough one. I think that the Bermuda's in a very interesting space. I think most of us who understand, economics probably feel the need for more people to come into the island. We need more people. What does that look like? What does it feel like? And what does it mean for fellow Bermudians? I'm surprised no one said this, because usually when we have this conversation, there are many people who often say, well, what about the Bermudians who have left the island? Why can't we bring them back? And I agree. Why not focus on bringing Bermudians back to the island? But at the end of the day, we have to look at things a bit differently. Some people left the island for things that they just won't be able to experience in Bermuda, things they won't ever get to, enjoy, right? Not everyone leaves because they're running from something or for better opportunities that they can get in Bermuda. People leave for different reasons. Whatever the case is with freedom of movement, I think we need more information. I think we need to understand why it may be in our best interest. What are the pros? What are the cons? These are the answers that we need to make educated decisions on whether or not Bermuda should move forward with freedom of movement, which, again, the Premier has stated that they won't do. The Bahamas, Haiti, and Montserrat do not offer it. And it looks like it, Bermuda being a full member won't do. But also remember that key thing. Remember what was said earlier. It may not even be in the premier or the government's hands, because everything we do, everything, every law passed in legislation has to be signed off by the king's representative, which is the governor of Bermuda, whoever that may be, who sits in the chair on the day. So this is a lot. It's a lot to consider. I just hope that we remain interested enough to want to know how it impacts us. Manuela Jones says, just like concern about Bermudians migrating to the UK, this would open the door for them to move to CARICOM countries as well. Unsure whether this will be good, need to hear others' interests. Indeed, it could create another problem if people, exporting some of our most talented Bermudians, and we don't want to be in a space where we're losing more people over time. All right, let's see. It's the hashtag giveaway. Let's see, folks. I'll give you a couple more seconds. Hashtag the Daily Hour. Hashtag the Daily Hour. If you want to be eligible, join Charles and Hadaleen. Just hashtag the Daily Hour. We're gonna spin this thing in a second to see who's going to be eligible for this week's prize. Let's do it. Let's do it, because I've got to go to the dentist. I told you all. All right, here we go. Let's hit it. Who is the lucky person? Is it gonna be Zalika Lavrock? Congratulations, you will join Charles and Hadaleen into this week's draw. Congratulations to you. And folks, before you go, I've got to get you a daily inspiration, don't I? Because I can't just let you go without some good, words from somebody. So I like this one. I like this one. Here's your daily inspiration for the day. Do what you can with what you have where you are. Theodore Roosevelt. Do what you can with what you have where you are. In short, just do it now. Just do it now. All righty, it's time to head out. Do not forget to subscribe on our Please don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medicwell's Lindos, and People's Pharmacy, for ensuring that we're able to have these conversations with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. I am is out. Peace.